When I was living in London, people used to come to my apartment for satsang, a very small place, and they would come once or twice a week, no, but initially just once. And after satsang, many people felt very illumined, and you could feel it in their presence. It was more quiet and so on. But they go back into the field of work and busyness and pubs and whatever. I don't know where they go. And then they come back next week almost like the way they were the first time they come. So it felt, are we really getting somewhere? And there was an urge, like I need to find a place where we can meet and a bit more isolated from this type of environment, which was so saturated with personhood and ego and so on. No? So there was born some urge to find a place where satsangs could be in a protected environment and people could get a little bit more, experience and development underneath them, like a young tree that you have to protect for a little bit until it's strong enough to kind of stand by itself. I felt each one needed this. But then I remember Papaji once saying, about organizations. He didn't like organizations. He was very, very suspicious of them because he felt almost all organizations become corrupt at some point. So he used to say of Satsang Bhavan, we are in the airport lounge, we're in the airport lounge, and you don't build your apartment in the airport lounge. We're taking off. So that crushed all these ideas about finding a cozy, nice place and stuff like that. I said, no, it's all here now. It has to be all here now. And so when I came to Portugal, I was not looking, for some like ashram, not consciously. So when I came to this place, I saw it, I felt, yeah, this is not a place for one person or two or a family. This is going to be a much bigger project, So immediately when I saw here, I felt in my heart what it needed to be. You see? Because myself, I don't need much. Even after all these years, I lived in this hut. I'm living in this hut. I'm very happy. So I came here because I accepted that this place would be, in service to many, many people. Every type come here, and I like that. I don't have any type of person that when if you want to use the type as being someone who's attracted to spirituality, then you can say that type come here. So not just any type just walking. No, people who are genuinely attracted to spirituality, but they come from many different countries, from many different walks of life, from different spiritual disciplines, different religions, and so on. Because we're not trying to convert anybody into any kind of religious direction or something. The religion for me is just to discover the God inside yourself. That's all. Very simple and very simple in this way. So those kind of people come here and find what they are searching for, which is a freedom from wrong identity, false ideas, misconceptions about life, and find peace and joy and happiness. Being with other people, they can be happy. Being by themselves, they can be happy. What is a good student? A good student is someone who really listens to their teacher and apply what they hear, because they recognize that the teacher is not their social friend. It must be someone who they have the confidence in. This one is what this one teaches is what this one is. You see? Because if the teacher lives on the premises, is a perfectly visible thing to see how does that teacher live. Is he speaking about brotherhood, but he's very about people criticizing, or is he talking about simplicity but gathering a lot of money? Is he whatever? So teacher has to be open, he has to be that. Then the student gains confidence. I want to be more like that. It's not just words, not just saying, you have to be like this, you have to be like that, and the teacher is different from that. No, it has to be that one is a living example also. He's the living embodiment of what they're speaking, he or she or whatever. No? So, what is a good student? A good student is one who is in earnest listening and application of the guidance they are given or offered. And they make use of them. And you can see a transformation in their behavior, in their presence. You see, and I know this is true because many people are here now. And there are some who come and visit every year or every 2 years, you see them. And I'm always keen to hear from them because so many have come and said, but these are not the same people. They are the same people and they are not the same people. So what do you mean by that? Well, I know if I'm looking at Lakshmi, or I know if I'm looking at Krishna, but I know if I'm looking at Chetan or someone, I know if I'm looking at Ribu, that it is Ribu. But what I'm feeling more is I'm not seeing them more in their personality so much. There's a glow, there's a presence, there's a silence in them, there's a wisdom in them. And that was not so visible before. You see? So they are a better gauge of how people have progressed. It's like if you have your children, they're growing, but you're not really aware so much of their growth. But their auntie or uncle come from New Zealand, comes, ooh, he's grown quite a lot. And the father think, oh yeah, actually. Yeah. You see, if you're growing up, you're not aware. Sometimes you're not aware of how much progress you really have made, or how that is seen from the outside. The one who is really searching for truth is aware. They're aware of what is not here anymore, largely. They can say, I had these tendencies before, but I don't feel that they're a cause of trouble anymore. They can feel that. But the impact of their growth is felt by others a lot. I am. Largely I am. But I'm not so easy to be pleased, There are different levels of being pleased. I'm pleased that there's growth, that there's understanding, that there is a reflection of what they are grasping, but I still feel it's too slow. You ask question, you have to take my answer. No? You ask, am I pleased with my son? Yes, I'm pleased with them. I love them. I love them. They are lovable. And they are the fruits from the tree, largely, no? But it's not finished for most. You see? To become a nicer person is very good. I'm very good when I hear some of them go home to see their family after a year or two, and their family now come back with them and say, oh, we have to find out. We have to come to this place because I like what happened to my daughter. I like what I see in my son. I like what I saw with my mom. Because it's not just children coming, parents are coming also as the first ones. And then people sometimes are, whoa, like I really like what I see. Not everybody. There's some people, they have a hard time. The more that they're discovering themselves, they get a hard time with their family. And others not, It's a mixed bag. It's life like that. But I'm happy that when I'm in their company, especially those who have lived closely with me, I'm very comfortable with them. And yes, I can say I'm happy, but, show not over. Show being over mean that I have a confidence I see in them that if they were on their own in a physical way, if I'm no more here in my farm or something like that, I would not be worried for them. That they are sufficiently established in their own consciousness that they will be, their actions will be navigated from that central recognition. They are one with themselves again. Yes, of course, sometimes some waves, an old tendency from the past may come, but it doesn't come and have a free room in their house. They're able to use that and not to just grumble. Oh, well, no, that this one is not my student. I don't regard such a one as my student. When those tendencies come, and they will come, they are kind of welcomed, not celebratory, but you see that they have something to show you. They have something to show you. Even your enemy trying to do something to you has something to teach you. And you must be like that. You must learn. So some lessons are painful, but they are necessary that you transcend them. That would be game over, show over, meaning that you've crossed back over the threshold that you went forward into delusion, and you've come back down into a secure place of your own self, if I want to call it secure. I have to sometimes use words that if I'm by myself, I would not use those words. But for people to understand, I say secure only meaning that these people will not be so easy to be distracted from themselves or to fall into long states of delusion. Then I'll be happy with them. Is there anybody like that?
Yes. You said
There are a few.
straightforward.
There are a few. Yeah, there are a few. There are a few I feel like this about. And there are quite a few who have not fully crossed over into themselves yet. They are grounded in the understanding. They feel the fruits of that understanding. They may still have some lingering tendencies in the field of personhood. Some little thing is there, and I watch them to see how much they are still invested in those energies. If they are very invested in those energies, I will approach them and ask them, where are you at with all this? And if they said, I want to go and take care of this, I tell them, I dismiss them to go and take care of that. Because two kings cannot sit on one throne. You must know where you stand. And I say this, it might sound hard, but I have different levels of students. I have people who are, sniffing, look around. There are people who come and they feel something and they watch the YouTubes and they watch and they keep up and they write letters and they may have Facebook page and this type of stuff. Then I have people who will come to Sahaja, maybe want to work in Sahaja, to be here, to be more on a daily level with the life, that how life unfolds, and to be in that energy field. But they're not totally yet dedicated into the truth. You see, they're here. I call them, they're on my team and this type of thing. But that doesn't mean that they've really entered the arena of freedom properly. And then there are fewer still who know that there isn't another life. They know that there isn't another life. That there's nothing in the world, so to speak. When I say the world, I mean the world of the mind, the world of craving and projections and desires and the fantasies that come through believing yourself as a person. Yeah, they know that. They know that. And still somehow, it's like, so it's like you're baking bread and they like the dough, and you have to push and you knead the dough and you knead the dough like this. It has some like that, you knead it, and then it doesn't go straight in the oven, you see. Then you put him in the bread pan and then I cover him with some cloth. I leave him, and then the yeast has to rise. The yeast has to rise before it goes in the oven. So what is this rising of the yeast, you see? is somehow, it is like a marinating in the essence. I say marinating in the essence mean that something is not yet merged with essence. You see? So there's understanding, but the understanding may be at the level of more intellectual conviction plus some intuitive experiencing. But they've offered themselves. They've come to God. They say, God, please help me, or this, or they've done their inquiry, whichever according to their temperament, whatever pathway suits their temperament. I find I'm with them. I can guide you in this. If you want to pray, we can show you how to pray in the simple way. That don't try to impress God. Just speak simply from your heart. God is not interested in grammar. You just have to be very, very honest. If you are at yet not so comfortable with the sense of God as a supreme being and so on, and then you can approach him through the sense of, sense of being, or as consciousness, whatever. There's a path for everybody, including even atheists, Before he's become an atheist, he's something. I want him to know what that something is. So each one will come and they find their way, and then once they find their way, once the bread has risen through the yeast, is ready to go in the oven. Then it goes into oven for a little while. You see? So this equates to, as an example, the woman is pregnant now, and she's pregnant for so long, and then at a certain point she could work, she could do her duties. At a certain point she has to stop working, she has to sit and just keep quiet. This is the yeast rising, and then once the contractions start, she's in the oven. You understand? In Jamaica language used to say, she's got a bun in the oven, means that's whoa. See, bun in the oven means any soon now, baby's gonna come. So when the bread is in the oven, meaning the disciple, the seeker, is in a state of deep internal contemplation, Even if they have to work outside, their attention is really, it's like the one who has really fallen in love. They may still, if they are a carpenter, they still go and do their carpentry, but their mind is really immersed in the beloved. It doesn't mean they're going to cut their finger off. They can do both, but their attention is immersed in the beloved. You see? So they're in that stage where they're just fascinated with the self, with God, like this, and they're cooking in that. You see? And the heat is going more and more hot. Like this. This is the stage. I'm watching them once. There are a few of them in Sahaja. Thank you. I like it, the question. How I experience myself. How I experience myself. First of all, myself is just like a vast expanse of emptiness that is with this body right now. And without doing anything, I'm not trying to enjoy, but I can't help enjoy. My life is just joy and peace. That is that's the foundation. That is the background, but it's also the foreground also. My life is like that. How I experience myself. Like you ask a question, and immediately the question, I send it inside to take a look. It's a question, go and take a look. You go and scan and see, can you find anybody in there? No, can't find nobody here. Yet I know I am. But my question, your question can't reach me yet. You understand? Because your question happens inside me, and it's enjoyed also. What did your question ask? How do I experience myself? Yeah, so I think I said I'm just this expanse. It still is. I had a double check again. It's still just this expanse. It's just never moved. It's just I'm just this expanse. And intelligence happens inside it, and seeing and joy, and also a sense of somebody being in this life called Mooji, you know, who meets people each day and meets them for satsang and can talk with them and this type of stuff. That is there also. Somebody asked one time, when you wake up in the morning, what is your first experience? What is your first knowing? And I said, my first seeing is that nothingness remains unchanged. No? That what is here is like, I don't know, I use the word over and over, nothingness, but it is also, the word is not going to do it. It's a pretty good word. It's more pure than somethingness. Nothingness, emptiness, they are words, they are language. And language is a tool of duality. But this thing is here before duality, what it is here. So I am that unchangingly, but I am this very changefully. Something is changing, moving, growing, some sense of growing and knowing and so on. I think the vital force is compelled to have these changeful experiencing. I've been speaking more recently of these two expressions of consciousness, one I call Saguna Brahman, one I call Nirguna Brahman. So in answering your question, I have to tell you a little bit about what I mean by that. Nirguna Brahman means the consciousness which is absolutely pure, beyond the duality play of the mind and so on. It is just here. It's not a stagnation. You cannot imagine it, but it is the ultimate reality. Because it is there, we say nothingness or emptiness or something like this, because that's the best words we have to try and point to it. We are pointing, but it's no distance. So we're only pointing conceptually. That which is the most subtle. Out of that comes the gross. Out of that comes the liquid or dynamic universe, including the dynamic sense of self. There's like a non-dynamic sense of self, which is just here. And I can't tell you about that, no? But there are some exercises that can help you to recognize it. But when we recognize it, the number of people recognize it, find that they're not able to abide in it, they're not able to stay there, because there are lower tendencies that exist in Saguna Brahman, which means that when the consciousness manifests into a dynamic form, it manifests with that vibration, the feeling, I am, the sense I am. The sense I am is not a body, it's not personal, okay? But it is the beginning of experiencing. Of the experience of duality occurs to that. That's what you are. But as soon as that manifests, and it needs a form to manifest in, so it manifests in this I am this body, then quickly it takes the body to be what itself, like it, the body becomes its anchor, and even believes it is the body, no? Rather than the body is its vehicle. It believes it is the body. And then once it believes it's the body, other conditioning, other concepts can build on top of this I am this body belief. And that gives rise to the sense. It's consciousness who is going to play all these diverse roles, but one of it, and the earliest expression, is to then identify itself as a person. When consciousness identifies itself as a person, it is already a handicap of consciousness. It is a distortion of pure consciousness. It starts to believe it is this particular body. It starts to see other bodies as other distinctly particular bodies, as other, and it perceives itself to be autonomous unto itself and different from other bodies, which although it has the intelligence to see that there's intelligence happening in each body, and it takes in each body that each body is another person that it takes itself to be. So the whole thing creates the human culture. And in the human form, consciousness experiences such thing as desire and envy and fear and a sense of being lost, worry for money, worry for family, need and greed. All of this, the whole full palette of interrelated opposites comes into play for the person. But the person actually is only an illusory mask of the pure consciousness. What we are actually is the pure dynamic consciousness, which I experience in the feeling, I exist feeling. That's the original feeling. So when Ramana Maharishi, the great sage of Arunachala, say, the I removes the I, yet remains the I, and that is a paradox of self-realization. I am myself saying this thing. The I here, what he means is the I am, what I call also the seed consciousness, that is the earliest expression from the absolute consciousness. That seed, the vibration I am, this is I call the child of the Supreme, the Christ consciousness, the Krishna consciousness, or so on. The consciousness that can experience and discern and to diversify and come back to its original nature. So what Ramana is saying, that I consciousness, the early seed of consciousness, which is one with the Father, no? This consciousness, has developed the skin called I am me, the person. And this I am me person creates all kind of suffering, unpleasantness, and struggles in the field of the dynamic consciousness. But consciousness needed to experience all those things. But it suffers when it believes that it is the one who is experiencing them personally. So it says the I am removes the I am me, means wake up from the limitations of I am me person, and then remains again as the I am. And so that's the paradox. That is the paradox of self-realization. I call that the pill of consciousness. I call that is existence, consciousness in existence in a nutshell. That all of this life is about that. My highest pointing is waiting to happen. You know, up until now, some high pointings, because sometimes I say to Sangha that all this time you have spent with me has enabled me to communicate in very simple ways. That all these thoughts and teachings and pointings should be able to be put into some pill form, so that I don't have to keep on talking. I'm getting tired. I'm growing older. I don't want to sit here talking. So, particularly if I have to make reference to phenomenality, it's very tiring for me. So I want to be able to say some things, particularly to my students and so on, that just hits it straight away, some little grenades I want to give them. So some high pointings are like, I might say to you, remain in the zero place. And they will understand that that means that like sometimes I'd say when you start counting, count to 10, and people start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nobody mentions zero. Okay? So I say, you be the zero place. My students have to understand what it means. It meaning that you cannot be interacting with something else. You are at the zero place. It's a very subtle understanding, because to get to that place of assimilating that pointing and following it, you have had to be listening to me for a while. Otherwise, your mind cannot accept this concept of zero. You can't do it. It's too complex, too complicated. But because I've softened you a little bit and rubbed you up a little bit and so on, so just so that your mind can be simple enough for me to say, don't take any shape. Don't pull into any shape. Because a shape is a limitation. And you are consciousness. Consciousness has no shape. It can assume a shape, like water. If you put water into this glass, then the water almost looks like the shape of the glass. But if I pour the water out, it won't look like a poured glass. You see, it has no shape. The consciousness is like this. Whatever shape, if I put it in another vessel, it's going to take the shape of that. But that is not its constitutional fundamental shape. It has no shape. The shape of water has no shape. So consciousness is like that. And when the consciousness doesn't go into shape, what I mean that by that initially, I'm speaking to the sense of presence that you will feel to be yourself. After you've moved more subtly from the sense of person, the conviction of being a person, to now experience the sense of presence, the sense of conscious presence, you see, like that, once you move to this, then you're able to see, yes, actually, I'm not this form. You know I'm not the form. But you're still appreciative of the form. But you know that the form is not what you are. You're the energy or the intelligence or the spirit in it. You know this now. And because you know it and you are it, your functions arise out of it. It's not that you have to go to that knowledge to remember to make use of it. You see, maybe in the beginning it may feel like that, but no. It's one thing. So I may say this, don't go into form, meaning don't take up, because the psychological vibration or play of the mind will only trouble you if you become a person. And a person is a shape of consciousness. So say, don't take that shape. Because if you remain shapeless, you can still understand things even more fully. So going into shape is to reduce your power, to get into a contracted state where your powers are so limited. Don't take that shape. So my students should understand that. If I tell them you are nothing, they won't take it as an insult. They should be very, very happy. Guruji, thank you for reminding me. You see? Elsewhere in the world, somebody will say, hey, why are you calling me nothing? Because they will not understand. They've got a very ego mind. My students should not have ego mind. What is the highest teaching? Highest pointing. You are the one you have been seeking. You are the self. But I could not say that to people, and that would be enough. It would not be enough. So I might say to them, why are you behaving like you are something other than what you are? Then they'll know what I'm speaking. So I don't know. There are many more things I can say. As much as you go ripe, they'll find something more to tell you. Something different. There will come a time I will just look at you and then everything will drop away. You have to become that succinct, that receptive, that pure, that I will look at you and it will all, But some people are, that is effective even now. Even they're not officially any student of mine. It may happen by the grace of God that just a contact with them or even a hug and their idea of themselves has completely dropped away. It may pick up again, but that impact and nothing else have made on their lives. People say, oh, Mooji, your teachings are so simple and so. Yeah, I sweep out the rest. That is not simple, because I think it just crowds the room. Say something is simple here. Can you get this? If you get this, forget about learning about all the different trees and stuff like this. Now, if you have to come to Sahaja, you may not know what one tree is, but you still say Sahaja. Oh, I love Sahaja. So you don't have to know all those things. You simply have to know this thing. What is this thing? And who am I to know it? You just, little question. If that happens in you, then I'm not worried about you. That's all. That's happening in you will reveal your inner teacher. Your inner teacher is going to not become your inner teacher anymore at a certain point. But you'll be teaching, you'll be a student, and you as a student is going to vanish one day. When you vanish, your teacher will vanish one day. And whatever is left is the same thing that's right here today. You see? So it's a mystery, but I don't know for who. Just for the intelligence of consciousness.